Once you've traced over your sketch in your Sharpie, you're ready to start transferring it to your foam. So you're going to need your foam plate. I like to use a piece of tape to tack it in place and a ballpoint pen. It's really important that it is a ballpoint pen so that way it does not tear or rip the foam plate. That rounded tip of this pen creates smooth carvings in our foam, so that way we get a nice groove that will resist ink when we ink it up to print. So I'm going to actually tape my drawing down on the table, and then I'm going to tape my foam on top of the drawing. Now, what can be helpful as well is to tape your foam onto your paper and then find a nice bright window to press your foam plate up against to transfer your drawing. So if you hold it up to a nice sunny window, you can see the ink really well. I can see it pretty well here. If you hold it down flat, you can really see fairly well. So what I'll do is I will just begin to trace over my drawing. Now, sometimes it can feel a little bit tough to get smooth grooves. So you might want to consider tracing a line kind of softly. Don't worry about getting too deep a groove at first. If you just kind of lightly trace it, then when you make a second pass and use a little bit more pressure, it tends to be a bit more smooth. So that is my suggestion. It definitely just takes a little bit of getting used to. You're going to kind of get a feel for the resistance of the foam, but keep in mind that you cannot erase, you can't take away. Once you've made an indentation in the foam, unfortunately it is there to stay, so you just kind of have to work with it. But if you take your time and kind of ease into it, you'll definitely get a feel for how much pressure to use, and you'll definitely get used to it. So my suggestion is to just make a light pass and then a heavier one. So you're going to go through and trace your entire drawing, sticking to those lines that you went over in Sharpie, and you will add your details. If it smudges a bit, don't worry too much. It won't affect your print, but you can always put a little piece of scrap paper under your hand if you want, and of course take breaks when you need to. Sometimes I get kind of crampy, so I would continue to trace my entire design until the whole plate was finished. Once you've finished tracing over your design, it's a good time to pick it up and double check to see if there's anything detail-wise that maybe you missed or any additions that you want to make. Just giving it a once over, sometimes it can be a little bit hard to see all of the fine details. So just giving it a double check and going over any areas that you might need to before we prepare to print.